This question is all about how to graph a rational function. Instead of using limits though, we're going to look at the original function and the properties we can tell from that, and then look at the first and second derivative and consider the critical points, inflection points, and concavity. So let's look at part 8 of this. It says determine the intercepts and equations of any asymptotes. So what we have to do first is we want to find the x and y intercepts. For the y-intercept, what we're going to do is we're just going to let x be 0. And when we let x be 0, what we get is we get f of 0, and that's equal to 2 times 0 plus 3, all divided by 0 plus 1 all squared. Now notice that 2 times 0 is 0, but we still have the 3 on the top. And on the bottom, 0 plus 1 squared is 1 squared, which is 1. And so we end up getting 3. And so what that tells me is it tells me that I'm going to have a point that's when x equals 0 and y equals 3. And that's my y-intercept. Now for the x-intercept, what I do for that is I let the y be 0. And when y is 0, what that means is that the f of x, that's what the y value is. So 0 is equal to 2x plus 3 all over x plus 1 all squared. And I have to solve that. Now, when I multiply both sides by x plus 1 squared, what I end up getting is I end up getting this to cancel off this side. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. And so 0 times x plus 1 squared is still 0. In other words, whatever the denominator is, it doesn't matter when we're finding the x-intercepts. And so in this particular case, we only have one x-intercept. 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. And so we rearrange this. 2x is equal to negative 3. And then we divide both sides by 2, and we get negative 1.5. And so that's going to give me an x-intercept. That's my only x-intercept. And specifically, that's a point at negative 1.5 and 0. So now what I want to do is I want to look at the equations of asymptotes. And there's two types of asymptotes that we're going to run into here. One, as far as the asymptotes, is the vertical asymptotes. Now those are when the denominator is 0. And so in this particular case, there's x plus 1 twice. And so it gives me a restriction that x is equal to negative 1. This is essentially not allowed. The last thing we want to consider here is we're either going to have a horizontal or oblique asymptote. Now what we want to do for that is we want to look at the degree of the numerator compared to the degree of the denominator. If the degree of the numerator was 1 higher than the degree of the denominator, then we'd have an oblique asymptote. But here it's 1 degree lower. And so in the case of it being 1 degree lower, that's going to mean we have a horizontal asymptote. Because it's lower, it's going to be a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. If it was the same degree as in the numerator as the denominator, we'd have to look at the coefficients of the leading terms to determine where that horizontal asymptote would be. So at this point, here's what we've established. We'll draw a quick sketch and then we'll draw a full graph at the end. We've established that the y-intercept is at 0, 3. When we're at a value of 3, that's the y-intercept. And we've established that the x-intercept is at negative 1.5. And we've established that we have a vertical asymptote at negative 1. And we've established that we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. We're going to use all that with now the first and second derivatives to be able to graph this. So I've kept everything on the right side from what we did in part A. Now let's look at part B. It says find the critical points, including the y values, and classify them using the second derivative test. So to find the critical points, what we need to do is find the derivative. Before we find the derivative, I'm just going to rewrite the original function as a product. So I'm going to write it as x plus 1 to the negative 2. That's the same thing as having a positive 2 in the denominator. And so when I write the negative 2 there, now I can use the product rule. And the product rule says this. I'm going to take the derivative of the first function times the second function plus the derivative of the second function times the first function. This is my f function. In this case, this is my g function. I realize it's f of x already on the left, but let's not let that confuse us too much. Let's just focus on the first function and the second function because that's the pattern of the product rule that we're using here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the derivative of that first function. The derivative of 2x plus 3 is just 2. And we're going to multiply that by the second function, x plus 1 to the negative 2. And then we are going to add that to the derivative of the second function. Now, careful here, we have to apply the chain rule. That negative 2 that's outside of the brackets, so we do negative 2 times x plus 1 to 1 degree lower, which is negative 3. We subtract 1 from the negative 2. And now we work the inside. So we've done the outside now. Now we need to do the inside applying the chain rule. So the derivative of x plus 1 is just 1. So it doesn't really change anything, but in general, we don't want to forget that. Now we multiply that by the original f, 2x plus 3. Now what we can do is work on simplifying this. So I'm going to write this as 2x plus 1 to the negative 2 minus 2 times x plus 1 to the negative 3 times 2x plus 3. Now that step isn't necessarily needed, but sometimes it's just helpful to see everything simplified a little bit that way before we common factor. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to common factor, and what we're going to common factor out here is the lowest exponent that is common to both of the terms. I have an x plus 1 common to both the terms. The lowest one is -3. So I'm going to common factor also a 2 out because that's a number that's common to both of those as well. So I'm going to take 2 times x plus 1 to the -3 out. And then what this is going to leave me with in the first term is it's going to leave me just with x plus 1. And in the second term, it's going to leave me with the 2 and the x plus 1 to the -3 all factored out. So I'm going to go minus, and then I have the 2x plus 3. Now you notice I wrote that with brackets. And the reason for that is because that negative sign is going to affect both of these terms. So it's not just minus 2x, it's also going to be minus 3. So we now go ahead and we simplify what's in these brackets right here. So I'm going to write this as 2 times x plus 1 to the -3. And in those brackets, now I get x plus 1 minus 2x minus 3. Again, at this level, you could probably skip this step, but I'm just trying to show each step just so there's no things that are lost on anyone here. So x minus 2x is -x, and then 1 minus 3 is minus 2. So now what I'm going to do is just common factor the negative out of the -x minus 2. So I'm going to have a -2. And then that x plus 1 to the -3, we can write that as a positive exponent by writing it in the denominator. And then we have the x plus 2 because we've common factored that -1. And so this is the derivative. So this is what I've been calculating all the way along, all the way from there now down to here. And that is our final derivative of that function. Now notice it didn't just say find the derivative, it said find the critical points. So what we have to do is we have to let the derivative be equal to 0. And when the derivative is equal to 0, that's going to give us those critical points. Now in this particular case, if I set -2 times x plus 2 divided by x plus 1 all cubed to 0, the same thing as I did before, if I multiply both sides by x plus 1 cubed, that cancels out. And so that's gone. So we're just going to be left with -2 times x plus 2 equals 0. And I divide both sides by -2. That's also 0 divided by -2 is still 0. So x plus 2 is equal to 0. So the only critical point here that I have is x equals -2. So now I sub that into my original function. So f of -2, that's equal to 2 times -2 plus 3 all over -2 plus 1 cubed. And so what we end up getting on the numerator is we end up getting -1. In the denominator, we end up getting -1 cubed, which is -1. And so we get 1. So our only critical points that we have is at -2 and -1. Now just before I go to part C, let's just keep in mind that this is either a local max or a min, or it could be a inflection point or a vertical asymptote as well. So it could be any of those things. We know it's not a vertical asymptote already, so we can establish that's not the case. As we look at the second derivative, we'll be able to tell if it's a max, min, or inflection point. So now that we've done part A and B, now we want to find any inflection point or points. So in order to do that, we need to take the second derivative. So remember the first derivative we had was -2 times x plus 2 all over x plus 1 all cubed. Some people think, well, I've kind of got 3 pieces to this. I've got this piece, and I've got this piece, and I got this piece. Well, maybe just to keep things a little simpler, what we could do is we could multiply the -2 in. So I'm going to have this -2x minus 4 all over x plus 1 cubed. But I could also write that as -2x minus 4 times x plus 1 to the -3. And so now this is my f part of the function, this is my g part of the function, and I'm again going to apply the product rule, which just says that my derivative is equal to the f prime times g plus g primed times f. So what I can do now is I can go ahead and find that derivative. So the second derivative is equal to the derivative of that first function. So the derivative of -2x minus 4 is just -2. Second function is x plus 1 to the -3. And then we're going to add that to the derivative of the second function now. That's -3 times x plus 1 to the -4 times 1, the derivative of the inside, again applying that chain rule, and then times the f part of the function. And so that's -2x minus 4. So this is going to give me -2 times x plus 1 to the -3 minus 3 times x plus 1 to the -4 times -2x minus 4. So now we go ahead and we common factor the lowest exponent on any common factor in those two terms. And so what we can take out here, x plus 1 to the -4. And so what I'm left with is negative 2 times x plus 1 to the 1. Because if I take that 1 and I add it to the negative 4, I get back the negative 3 that I would have there. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 3. The x plus 1 to the negative 4 has been common factored out. So negative 2x minus 4 is what I'm left with. And now I can go ahead and expand that in the square brackets. So what I'm left with is negative 2x minus 2 plus 6x plus 12. And when I get those like terms together in the square brackets, I get the negative 2x and the 6x, which gives me 4x. And the negative 2 plus 12 gives me plus 10. So that means my second derivative is equal to 4x plus 10. And I could common factor a 2 out of the top there, but I don't have to. Over x plus 1 to the power of positive 4. Remember that bringing it to the denominator makes that exponent positive. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the second derivative be equal to 0. And so when that second derivative is equal to 0, I'm going to get 0 equals 4x plus 10 all over x plus 1 to the 4th. Multiply both sides by x plus 1 to the 4th. X plus 1 to the 4th times 0 is still 0. So 0 equals 4x plus 10. And what I arrive at is that 4x is negative 10. Divide by 4. And I get a value of negative 2.5. That is my inflection point. So now I'm going to take that x equals negative 2.5 and I'm going to sub that into the original function. So f of negative 2.5, that is going to give me negative 0.8 repeated. And so I'm going to have this point negative 2.5 and negative 0.8 repeated. That is an inflection point. That's the only inflection point we get from this. And so what we have to do is we have to use some things about the concavity to determine this. So let's discuss that concavity briefly now. Now the first thing about the concavity is let's look at that critical point again. That critical point was at negative 2 and negative 1. What about the second derivative at that point? Well, what that gives me is it gives me a value of positive 2. And just so you can see how I've worked that out, I get positive 2 on the top, and on the bottom I get negative 1 to the power of 4. So that gives me positive 2 over 1. Because that's positive, what this second derivative test tells us, that's concave up, which means that critical point, negative 2, negative 1, is going to be a minimum. So now let's take this information and go to the graph and start putting some of these things on the graph. So our y-intercept is right there at 0, 3. Our x-intercept is at negative 1.5 and 0. We have a vertical asymptote at x equals negative 1. And we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. So that means that the horizontal asymptote is going to be crossed there at that x-intercept. We also know that there's a critical point at negative 2, negative 1. And this is going to be a minimum. And then we have an inflection point at negative 2.5 and negative 0.8. So right about somewhere in there is our inflection point. It's pretty easy from this to be able to draw the graph on the left of the vertical asymptote. And so in order to do that, what we can do is we can say, well, I know that it's concave up at that minimum. And so there's no inflection point before that vertical asymptote. So that continues to be concave up. So if it's concave up, it has to go and approach positive infinity from that side. The inflection point now, it changes from concave up to concave down. That's what inflection point does. So from there, we now make that concave down. And that means it's going to come to the horizontal asymptote at y equals 0 from below. So it crossed it at that x-intercept, but now it's going to come from below. But what about the right side of the vertical asymptote? Well, here we don't have any inflection points or critical points. We only know this one point right here. Well, what we can do then is we can go ahead and look at the second derivative test. Now the second derivative is equal to 4x plus 10 over x plus 1 to the 4th. So to check this, we're going to check any value that's to the right of x equal negative 1. I'm going to choose 0 because it's a really simple value. So f double prime of 0 is 4 times 0 plus 10 divided by 0 plus 1/4. So what I'm going to get here is I'm going to get 10 over 1 to the 4th, which is just 1, which is just 10. And again, second derivative test tells us if that's positive, it's concave up on that whole interval. Because that's concave up, the only way for it to be concave up is if it's coming like this and then comes to that horizontal asymptote from above. Now you might ask the question, well, how do I know it doesn't cross that horizontal asymptote on the right? Well, it had no x-intercepts on the right of that vertical asymptote. So it has to come from above. That is how you graph the function f of x equals 2x plus 3 over x plus 1 squared. And that's the same process you're really going to follow for any rational function. Now, sometimes your teacher may want you to draw what's called an analysis chart. And I have not done this for this question, but if you do want to see an analysis chart, check out the video on the right. I'm graphing a polynomial function there, and I'm showing that full analysis chart for that function. On the left, you see lots of videos about more calculus applications and calculating of derivatives. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.